quick recap for new viewers. Wyan went to her rich boyfriend Hyunwoo's mansion for dinner, nervous about meeting his family and especially his best friend who had just returned from the UK. But when that best friend arrived, she was shocked to find out it was Jungkook, her ex-boyfriend and her first heartbreak. Hyunwoo had no idea about their past. Jungkook acted calm and covered things up, but his smirks, stares, and jealous expressions made it clear that their history was far from over. Now Ryan is stuck in a dangerous situation between her current relationship and the ex she may still have feelings for. And eventually it happened. Hyunwoo let out a drunk laugh, pulled at his tie, and loosened it carelessly. Then he opened the top buttons of his shirt and leaned back with a flushed face. Damn, he muttered. This place still hits. Jungkook said nothing. He just watched. And a few minutes later, Hyunwoo stood up and wandered toward heard the girls sitting nearby. No hesitation, no guilt, no shame. He dropped down beside them like he belonged there. One girl laughed at something he said, another leaned into him. The anger in his chest burned, not just because Hyunwoo was lying, but because the girl being lied to was her, YN. The one person Jungkook had never truly stopped protecting in his mind, even after losing her. He took a deep breath and stood up, then walked straight toward Hyunwoo. The girls barely noticed him. Hyunwoo, however, looked up with a lazy drunken grin. Jungkook went completely still. His entire body froze, not because he was calm, but because he was 1 second away from breaking Hyunwoo's face. The girls around them giggled, not understanding the danger in the air. Hyunwoo kept talking, drunk and shameless. You know me, bro, he smirked. I have always liked spicy girls. Jungkook's chest turned cold. Hyunwoo laughed again and pointed his glass in the air. So I dated that useless girl. Jungkook's eyes widened slightly. For 1 second, he actually looked stern. Because even though he had just suspected Hyunwoo was fake, he had not expected this. Not this level of filth. Not this level of cruelty. And though he didn't say Ryan's name, it was written all over his face. The girl scoffed and walked away. Jungkook finally came back to the present. He turned his head and looked at Hyunwoo again. Still drunk, still laughing, still surrounded by girls, still disgusting. He opened his car door, sat inside, and gripped the steering wheel tightly. For a few seconds, he just sat there, breathing hard, trying to control his anger, trying to process what he had just heard. On the other side of the city, Ryan was half asleep in bed when her phone suddenly burst beside her. She frowned softly and reached for it without opening her eyes properly. Still sleepy, she answered in a quiet voice. That sentence made something twist painfully inside him because he knew. He knew that the happiness she was talking about was fake and he couldn't let her stay inside that lie. So his voice turned firmer, more serious. Ryan, listen to me carefully. She went quiet just for a second. Jungkook looked down for a second. His chest hurt so badly, he almost couldn't breathe. But he forced himself to stay calm. Then, in a low, serious voice, he said, "Fine. Then just listen to me one last time." Wine stayed quiet. Jungkook swallowed hard. "Listen to me once, and after that, I'll never show you my face again." Jungkook unlocked his phone and opened a video. Then he turned back the screen towards her. "Because you need to see this." Wyan looked down. At first, she didn't understand what she was seeing. Loud club lights, music, people. The car stayed silent except for her soft crying. Jungkook looked at her for a long moment. Then finally, very quietly, he said, "Wyan, my intention was never to hurt you." Wyan laughed bitterly through tears. Then she looked at him with red eyes and whispered, "Then why did you tell me?" Jungkook frowned slightly. Wyan's voice trembled with pain. Wayan's own anger suddenly rose too. Her eyes filled again as she turned toward him and shouted back. Jungkook's voice came out low, rough, barely steady. You think I was happy after leaving you? Wine stared at him. His eyes were wet now, and every word sounded like it had been buried in his chest for years. You think I lived peacefully after losing you? Suddenly, she whispered, almost afraid of the answer. Then why did you leave? Jungkook shut his eyes for a second, then slowly opened them again. And what he said next changed everything. Vian's tears fell instantly, but this time they were not just tears of pain. They were tears of release, of truth, of finally understanding the thing that had haunted her for years. Jungkook stared at her like the world had stopped. Then, without another word, he slowly unbuckled his seatbelt. Vian's breath caught. He leaned toward her carefully, one hand moving up to cradle the side of her head, gentle, protective. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing heavily. Their foreheads rested together. Their eyes stayed closed for a second. Neither of them spoke, they just breathed. And somehow, for the first time in years, both of them felt a little lighter, a little less broken, a little more whole. After a moment, they slowly sat back into their seats. Silence filled the car again. But this silence felt different now, warmer, safer. Hyunwoo thought he won, but he has no idea what's about to happen next. Cause this time, Jungkook and Ryan will face him together, and the revenge will be something he will never forget. Subscribe to see what Jungkook and Ryan will do with Hyunwoo.